Hello everyone, welcome back to the Undercut podcast. It is Wednesday's video. The Australian Grand Prix has just happened. We're back. We're back in business. We're revived. We're energized because it's not 6 a.m. anymore, which is always good. But we've got some big news to talk about. So obviously, as we do know, the Red Bull saga, it's all we've been talking about really for the past, how many weeks now? What, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
Nothing. There's nothing else going on but Red Bull.
The Red Bull stuff. But this is actually really more revolving around RB, the sister team. Obviously, Daniel Ricciardo's been underperforming, as we know. People were saying, they'll probably give him a season. He'll probably get the season. Well, apparently, the rumour mill suggests that apparently Red Bull are looking to replace Ricciardo in another 2 races if he doesn't pick up the pace.
After China.
What do you think about that?
I think it is a rumour. And leave it as a rumour.
Yeah.
I don't think, even if he doesn't pick up the pace, I don't think it would be the case.
Man's dropping bars, bro. Sorry.
No, only because it's Daniel Ricciardo. They know what he's capable of, and it's coming over. The rumor is that it's coming from Helmut Marko as well, which, as we know, Helmut Marko is under investigation himself.
Yeah, and Christian Horner has, Danny is his golden boy.
Yeah, Christian and Danny have a good relationship. I don't think there's going to be anything to come of it, even if Daniel doesn't perform in the next 2 races. I do think we'll see a better Daniel Ricciardo soon. We know that when China was on the calendar, we know that Daniel loved China.
Very good around there.
He wasn't too shabby around Japan either. So these are a couple of tracks that Daniel does like coming up. So I think we'll see an improved Daniel Ricciardo, but I don't think, even if it's not, we'll see him leave. However, I do think Liam Lawson will be in a seat potentially towards the end of the year, if not definitely next year.
Yeah, and the thing what really baffles me about this is that it's not even a Nick DeFries situation where it was 8 races, was it, or something like that?
I think Nick he did Britain, didn't he? Up to Britain, so about 10.
So it was about half the season, let's say, right?
Yeah, near enough half a season.
And the rumor is that Daniel Ricciardo isn't even going to get 5 races. That's mental.
That's not going to be the case.
But the thing is, if it turns out to be true, I think Red Bull are hugely jumping the gun. I mean, we've got to remember as well.
No,
right?
That would be a huge jump.
We've got to remember, Daniel Ricciardo is still getting used to this car, still getting used to the new regulations. We've also then got to remember that he's only ever driven Saudi Arabia once, which was in the old red cars, so that was completely new to him. Bahrain is the first race of the season, so you can never put anything, for definite on Bahrain. And Australia, he generally never has really gone well around there. So
he has always had an issue or something that happened, and it wasn't a bad race for Daniel considering where he started.
No, and it wasn't even a bad race considering he started pretty much last and then finished 12th. That's not a bad race for him. So these first 3 races, they've been poor and that it should have been better. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, there are circumstances that you can kind of you can put towards his performances. But as you were saying, China, usually a good race for Ricciardo, and as we saw last season, another track that he went really well around was Mexico, and then look what happened there.
Phenomenal.
I mean, Daniel's always has always gone really well around Mexico, especially in his Red Bull days. Pipped Max to pole, would beat Max, in Mexico, and then went on to do what he did last season at Mexico, at a track that he clearly goes well around at. So as you were alluding to, China coming up, this will be the real test, I think, for Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, and I think we're coming into a season where Daniel does start to do well, the more towards Europe we go. As well.
Think so?
I think I feel like if you look at over Daniel's, like, obviously apart from that standout 2018 when it was first 6 races, 2 wins for Hamilton, 2 wins for Ricciardo, 2 wins for Vettel. Can you remember Ricciardo having a good start to a year?
No. Well,
I feel like Daniel progresses as the year goes on. I mean, obviously 2018 was started off phenomenal, and then his car just decided to implode every race.
oh no, I think 2018 was Ricardo's best season. If it
He
wasn't for
had a
that Red
phenomenal
Bull,
year. The reliability though for him was awful.
if it wasn't for the Red Bull reliability, he would have been. I think he would have been third in the championship. I believe, was it? I think I remember seeing something.
Definitely would have been third. I mean, maybe with all the Vettel mistakes, pushing, knocking on the door for second, but it still would have been Vettel's.
I think he had 8 retirements.
Yeah,
eight. I think it was 8.
It was absolutely crazy the amount of retirements that he ended up having.
Like, it's crazy. Like, he'd just be rolling around, in third casually around, like, I don't know, Texas or something. There's an engine would just blow up. Like, but yeah, on more towards Liam Lawson. So this also kind of ties in with the Ricciardo stuff. So Liam Lawson obviously is the person who would get the seat first, would have first choice. You could maybe throw Iwasa in there. He is also now going to be competing in the Japanese Grand Prix Practice 1 for RB.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see, like, if you got to choose between one, I don't see Iwasa getting it over Lawson.
No, definitely not. But he's in there as well. So it's not like there isn't people that can't replace Daniel Ricciardo. It's not like he's the only option.
Yeah.
So Lawson is definitely probably going to go in there. And then apparently Red Bull, this is also another rumor, so got to take this with a pinch of salt, but this is also what's being said as well, is that Liam Lawson is Red Bull's #1 pick to replace Sergio Perez if he doesn't perform. So that that really confuses me, because that completely eliminates Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. They clearly aren't heavily focused on them replacing Perez. And this has been backed up by Helmut Marko also saying that Yuki still needs to improve if he is ever to get in within a shout of a Red Bull seat. So the Red Bull seem completely fixed on the Liam Lawson hype train, which, what do you think about that? I mean, Lawson at Red Bull?
I mean, I'm on the Liam Lawson hype train. I mean, I like the guy. I mean, don't like Red Bull, so it's going to be hard to like the guy, but I do like the guy. And it's interesting because I don't think it's how good Yuki is as a driver that he needs to improve, because Yuki's the top driver. It's his temperament that Red Bull are looking at more with Yuki, and I think that's what's kept Yuki out of that Red Bull seat.
You reckon?
And I don't see it changing.
Yeah.
Anytime soon.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's not just Lawson though. Like, Red Bull have come out, they've said they've got a long short list of names that aren't just in Red Bull, such as Carlos Sainz after his race win.
Yeah.
So it's not all on Lawson. It's not just Lawson. I'm sure if Ricciardo turns it around, Ricciardo's going to have a say in it. But Lawson looks like, well, Helmut Marko loves him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Helmut Marko loves Lawson, and when he loves a driver, they tend to get a seat at Red Bull.
Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Very quickly as well, 5 races into the 2016 season. Which, by the way, I just want to point out, Daniel Kvyat didn't even have a bad start to the season. He just crashed twice, and he beat Ricciardo the previous season. Daniel Kvyat outscored Daniel Ricciardo in 2015.
Daniel Kvyat, yeah, he did all right, Daniel Kvyat. But
obviously, right, in hindsight, the best decision Red Bull's ever made, putting Max in that car. Obviously, looking at the fact that he's a 3-time world champion, probably going to be a 4th. So
it's paid off.
But I still think that was another, like, if Red Bull had done that on a different day, with a different driver, I think they're making a mistake. And this is what we're looking at now with the whole Daniel Ricciardo situation and Liam Lawson situation and Sergio Perez, and it's just a whole mess at Red Bull at the moment. So who do you think then? Okay, by the end of the season, then who do you think is in that Red Bull seat? Do you think it's Sainz or Perez or Lawson? Who do you think it's RB? Is it Yuki and Daniel, or is it Yuki and someone else, potentially Lawson or Owasa? What are you saying? So many names up in the air.
There's too many names. It's hard to say because you've got to look at all the drivers outside of Red Bull. Because I don't think they'll be just fishing inside of Red Bull. I know they like to, but I think as a second driver to Max especially, you've got to look at all the other drivers that they've got.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Carlos Sainz on the market. Do you know what I mean? It's hard, but I do think it's going to be a Red Bull lineup next year of Max and Ricciardo still.
You still think Danny's going to get in there?
I'm not going to change it, and I think it'll be Yuki and Lawson at RB.
All right, okay then.
It's the natural stepping stone. Like even Max started at Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
It's just the natural stepping stone to get into the Red Bull is to do at least a season or half a season at RB.
Yeah.
So I think they would do it that way. And I think Ricciardo's more in favour than Yuki.
Okay. Well, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But apart from that, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of today's video. Like always, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well so you do not miss any more videos in the future. We will be live for the Japanese Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time on the Saturday and the Sunday. Getting back into the swing of things for the Sunday races now.
Well, still an early start.
You had a Max Verstappen stat, by the way, about Sunday races.
Yes.
Go on, tell us. What is it?
So it's been about 120 odd days, right, since Max Verstappen has won a Grand Prix on a Sunday. 120 odd days. I mean, call me crazy. Is this man washed?
Yes. Max is washed.
Is this man washed?
Oh, I love it. That is actually quite crazy, though, considering how much he's won. He actually just hasn't won a race in 120 days on a Sunday. It'd be funny if he doesn't win at Japan either.
I know.
He
Wow.
doesn't
Max
win
loves
till Las
Japan.
Vegas. Doesn't win till Las Vegas.
Japan.
He does love Japan. He really does. But yeah, anyway, we'll see you on Friday for another video, and then obviously next Monday, should I say, for the weekly podcast. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in a bit.